For nearly 30 years, Todd Garner has overseen blockbuster films like Con Air, Anger Management, Triple X, 13 Going on 30, and Black Hawk Down.
Why are they letting you make these movies?
Join Todd as he shares tips and stories from the front lines of producing in Hollywood.
I'm Adam Sandler.
I'm Rebel Wilson.
This is Jeff Probst.
I'm Kaylee Cuoco.
I'm Eli Roth.
This is Marlon Wayans.
Hey, it's Ed Helms.
This is Shay Mitchell.
Everybody, this is Kevin James, and this is The Producer's Guide.
The Producer's Guide.
The Producer's Guide.
The Producer's Guide with Todd Garner.
Todd Garner.
Todd Garner.
Todd Garner.
What a combination.
All right, I'm here with John Cena. Hello, John.
Hey.
How are you, man?
I'm fantastic, and you?
Good, man. We are on the set of Vacation Friends in Atlanta.
Yep.
And so tell me, how are you enjoying it? You're so busy. You always have something going on, but how are you enjoying shooting during COVID? Like, what has been the difference for you?
First things first, we're all busy. I hate when everybody's like, "Oh, how do you ever do it? You're so busy." We're all busy all the time.
That is true. That is true.
It's really fun, and fun in many different ways. As you know, when I read the script, the script is awesome, and I think it's a timeless movie about a concept that a lot of people are familiar with.
Yeah.
They've been on one side or the other. So to me, that's a great indication of like a movie that stands the test of time. And not only that, here we are. We started this thing pre-pandemic.
9 months ago.
And we're one of the first productions to get back up and filming post-pandemic. So our little film could pave the way for a more comfortable environment for entertainment. It's good to be back.
Is this what you expected when you thought about what COVID was going to be like, shooting in COVID was going to be like? I mean, how are you adjusting as an actor in this time?
I think it's all about managing expectations. I think anything in life is about creating and managing realistic expectations. And SAG was good enough to kind of put out an initial offering, so to speak, of what they wanted for guidelines. And they really, really, really were conservative, which is fantastic because their job is to protect us.
Right.
And I think the studios kind of realistically met those demands. So I was expecting like hazmat suits. But all things considered, it's been fantastic. Like the contingencies have been fantastic. The testing has been fantastic. To me, it hasn't altered my trajectory. And masks and stuff and PPE when needed are a way of life anyway. So it's not like you're asking me to do something that I'm not used to.
Right.
It's just we're doing this in the now.
Because you also did WWE during COVID. Like you guys were like the first entertainment.
WWE hasn't stopped. No, for real.
Well, I remember you going and watching it,
programming,
and just no fans and just being there. You were really one of the first big live entertainment to come back.
Like I said, they didn't stop.
Wow.
So I went from the first time we wrapped, we had a weekend. I went to Connecticut to film a match for this year's WrestleMania. And that was with no fans, but we had the luxury of kind of making a quasi-cinematic sort of experience where it was like a psychedelic walk through my past. And it was really fun because I kind of got to create something.
Right.
So, I mean, that was awesome for me, and it was a wonderful opportunity, and it could have gone the other way, but I was really glad to be a part of WrestleMania, and man, I cannot believe the fact that the WWE hasn't stopped.
Well, let's talk about your past. Let's take a psychedelic look at your past. You grew up in New England, right?
Yeah.
You were born in
West
England.
Newbury, Massachusetts, yeah.
And you were an athlete. You played football in high school.
I played football in high school. Let's say that. Yeah, buddy.
And when did the idea for wrestling and bodybuilding and becoming the John Cena that you became when you were a professional wrestler?
I think all the things that I've, now I get to a point here. I'm staring down my 44 candles on a cake. You get to a point where you begin to look at why things happen. Where as a young adult and a teenager, you're just powering forward through the power and glory of life. And then I was lucky enough to be handed a ticket to be a rock star and enjoyed that as well. But I think all the choices in my life, I started lifting weights because I got the shit kicked out of me as a kid. I was really into rap music or the advent of hip hop music in the mid to late 80s.
Yeah.
And West Newbury is or was, is it's 2,000 people, 100% white. So like it was combat boots, old muscle cars, ripped jeans, and rock and roll.
Right.
And I was wearing a high top fade and wearing rayon polka dot pants and doing the kid and play kick with the other kid that listened to hip hop.
Right.
So we got the shit kicked out of us. And I just told my dad and my grandfather, God rest his soul, I begged my dad for a weight set. And my grandfather, who had done some working out, was like, man, just get the kid a weight set. He really seems to want it. And my dad was more up to like, no, let's get him a Nintendo or something. Like he was big into gamer and entertainment stuff, but he ended up getting me a bench. And I remember lifting 7 days a week until I was about 17, and somebody kind of showed me the ropes. But through all that, I also had really good mentors. Like I lifted at home for 2 years and then started to play football because in West Newbury, freshman football was the earliest you could play. The coaches found out I was far stronger than the rest of the kids. So they immediately threw me in the weight room.
Right.
And then I was lucky enough to go to a local gym where a strength mentor of mine, Dave Knock, kind of crafted and helped me craft my ethos, like who I was.
Right.
And I used bodybuilding as a way to stay in shape for athletics. I only played football. I tried baseball. I wasn't any good.
Were you a center?
I was.
Right.
That's, once again, I wasn't an athlete. I played football. So bodybuilding became a way for me to discipline myself and stay in shape for the off season. So I just wanted to stay lean and kind of look good in the summertime.
Sure.
And, as a young man, that was a great way to do that. And then after football was done, it was a vehicle for me to continue to have reason to go through the threshold to work out.
Right.
Because I was scared that this thing I'd done pretty much my whole life, I'd be like, okay, that's over. So what do I just sit on the couch and do nothing? And it just helped with the ability to like, no, I got to get up and go because I have a goal. And then I was introduced to wrestling, and the rest is history.
Well, ironically, one of your first characters was a rapper, right? Didn't you?
Yeah,
weren't you a white rapper?
Had I not been the doctor of thugonomics, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Wow.
I'd have been fired from the WWE, and I was already told I was in the chopping block, and I would be part of the holiday cuts, and I kind of had nothing to lose, which literally is kind of how all this happened.
Yeah.
And took a chance, and it paid off.
How did the switch come from being like the white rapper, being like doing the different, because I know you started in some of the smaller markets, Ohio and things like that. How did that shift go from being that character to being more the Superman, clean, John Cena, military character?
There's a bit of information there. I started out in Southern California, then went to Ohio, then went to WWE television. And in the process, had a few characters. The first one was half man, half robot, which I owe people some refunds out there. The second one kept the name Prototype, but I was the prototypical man because I was the protege of someone called the Role Model. But I was a bad guy. It was like he was the role model, but he was an evil guy, so I was an evil bad guy. Got to WWE, and then they totally switched it. They just called me John Cena. The WWE was in a phase where it was away from character-driven narrative, and they wanted more real. UFC was gaining popularity, so they wanted to go to a stronger style, almost what the industry is doing right now. Like it's almost repeating itself now. Mm-hmm. So they stripped my nickname, called me John Cena, and said, "Go out there and be a good guy." I was like, "Well, I don't know what the hell to do," and it failed. It was awful, but it failed on my accord. It wasn't anyone else's responsibility. But then when I could attach myself to a facet of my life, hip hop, something that I was willing to get the shit kicked out of me for. That was when it really took off.
Wow.
But I was really pushing the envelope of a then TV 14 program. I mean, I look back on that stuff and it was very, very over the line. Correct for the time. And of course, me being a shock performer, that was it fit for what we were doing, but man, it was over the line. And
right.
Being able to go to these events night in and night out, I began seeing a shift in the audience. 2002, 2003, 18 to 35-year-old dudes. 2006, families and kids.
Wow.
And families and kids started to cheer for the rapper character because I was entertaining. I was making people laugh.
Yeah.
And, mixed in there, I was doing weird feats of strength and all that stuff. So I said, I'm not going to rap anymore. It was my choice. And I remember a few of the coworkers being like, well, that's it for you. But I wanted to cater more towards the audience that was watching. So
Right.
I had the luxury of daily market research to see who are the people in the arena, see the median age, see who they were gravitating towards. And I think that's where the divide began, where 18 to 35-year-old males fucking hate me because I kind of turned my back on them.
Right.
But they don't understand. They couldn't see through my perspective, but I don't blame them. That, like, I want my thing.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up watching Hulk Hogan and then the Attitude Era. I want the Attitude Era.
Right.
But we can't do that anymore.
Right.
So I just kind of adapted with the times and wanted to extend the reach. My goal has never been to be a champion or whatever. It's been to extend the reach of the company. Always, even from Ohio Valley Wrestling.
Right.
And that was the best play to do that. And I really enjoyed it. Like, it was awesome. It really, since then, it's given me such, I guess, validation for what I do. I've been able to meet so many people and so many families. And like, hey, you know, your never give up thing really means a lot to my kid. When you're able to fake fight for a living, and then you hear that from an adult, like, hey, what you do really has an influence on my child, or it's really helped me. Or when you hear like, yo, I kind of wanted to kill myself, but then I watched you on TV and you brought me through a real tough time.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit, that's powerful.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't change it for anything. I know I learned really early that you can't please everybody, and it was a choice I made. It wasn't a choice that was threw at me where I didn't have any sort of different path. I made the choice. I owned the choice and tried to do the best I could.
It's so funny. My first episode of this podcast, I tell a story about why I make the movies that I make, why I make comedies primarily, and it's exactly the same reason. Just to bring some entertainment and lightness to people and some goodness to people when they're going through tough times or they need just a break. Bert Kreischer and I just did this show, and it's insane. I mean, he's nude most of it. It's his ass is out and it's crazy. But at one point, his father is talking to Caitlyn Jenner, who his dad worshipped during the decathlon, and Bert has never seen his dad look at someone like that, and he breaks down, and it just breaks your heart because we're all the same. We just want sometimes just to feel good, and a laugh is fine.
Man, that's saying laughter is the best medicine.
That's it. Did the WWE teach you how to tell stories? Because you're a great storyteller. We've had a lot of conversations similar to what you just said, which is you being mindful of your audience, being mindful of where your career is headed. You're very thoughtful about that. The rap on you in the WWE was always you were a hard worker. You were always did what you said and said what you did, and you were a straight arrow and a good person and honest. And I've done 2 movies with you, and your work ethic is incredible, and I never have to even think about you. I mean, in the best way possible, because you're always so on it and always so prepared. But who taught you how to tell a story? Because you're a great storyteller. You've written a few children's books, and your persona you've created, and all these great movies you've done. Where did that come from?
First of all, thank you very much for the kind words. I told you a few nights ago, you pay me to show up on time and to know my stuff. You bet on me to be good. True. So I'm glad I'm holding up the first 2 parts of the
You're
bargain.
holding up all 3, Mr. Cena.
But I think I don't know. I literally think it's just because I love sports entertainment, and I get it, and I got it at a young age. Yes, I thought the heroic acts were genuine. Mm-hmm. But even at a young age, I'm talking 6, 7, 8, when I was wrestling in the basement, either with my brothers or like with the WWE throw pillow people, we had a league, or with the action figures. It's not judo, close combat, like jockeying for position. It's big trash talk, and this person hates this person because of this. I admire the art and the physicality of sports entertainment, and I've watched Tiger Mask and Dean Malenko and William Regal and Dave Finlay, but even all those performers understand the entertainment element. So I just skewed more towards the entertainment element, and I found really when I went to Ohio that being able to work in middle America in front of 6 to 15 people a night, they don't care how good you are. They care why they're there, and they want an escape. And I always said, if you can entertain that room when there's more people in the dressing room than there are in the ring or around the ring, if you can entertain that room, you're going to do all right. And I just, I I don't ever approach a wrestling narrative without asking, why are we fighting? If you've talked to anybody I've worked with, AJ Styles has just recently been recorded as saying, like, when I sat down with him, that's the first thing he said. It's the first thing I ask everybody. Okay, why are we fighting? And their reply is always the same. Well, I want to be the best. That's not good enough. I had to sit down with AJ for 2 hours and 45 minutes because he's a nice human being. And I couldn't dig up any dirt on him. And I have halfway through, 90 minutes through, I'm like, listen, man, usually I can make those assumptions myself because I can find something you said bad about the company or maybe said bad about me. You're clean. Like you're good. And he finally came up with a suggestion that fueled a narrative that was one of the more recently entertaining storylines in WWE. So I think asking the question why, and my preparation in WWE has absolutely helped me. There were some things that needed adjusting. Granted, when I was in WWE full time, it was very tough for me to take 10 and play to the mezzanine and turn it to 1 and play to the screen. And I was really caught up in, like, the WWE is guerrilla television. They film fast and they film a lot, and it's live. Once it's done, it's done. So it was very difficult. Even now it's difficult, which is why I go back and play piano or study, because it's difficult for me to stand there and be in the process of people setting up lights and bringing in cameras and changing lenses. And I realize I'm doing the production bad. I need to get the fuck out. Mm-hmm. So those people have the professional time to do what they want, because when they're set up, they're sure as shit not yelling at me like, hey, fucking hurry up.
Right.
They're giving me the courtesy, and this is my way of doing the same. So it's like knowing thyself. But everything I've done in the WWE, the series of questions, how I approach narrative, how I approach storytelling, knowing that I'm just a piece and the director is the person making the whole vision, i.e. Vince. So in this situation, when I met Clay, and Clay's being really genuine to my needs as a performer, and I just deadpan him, like, hey man, I'm a piece in your movie. You see the whole thing. I don't, nor do I want to. I don't want to be in the edit bay with you. You tell me how I can be good for you, and let's work as a team. And I know that's not traditional, but that's always helped me in WWE, and it's really, really helped me in cinema stuff. I mean, like, being surrounded by Schumer and Apatow, when I was like, just tell me what to do, and then them realizing that I would do anything because I really enjoyed what I was doing. And then, like, on with Amy Poehler and Tina Fey and all the remarkable comedians that I've been able to work with, just me being like, yo, I don't know what I'm doing, but I know you probably hired me for something. I'm going to trust you, help me out.
Right.
And everybody's been really cool. And I early on was like, hey, Vince, what do you need? And many times he'll be like, I need to run with you for 6 months with this guy. And many times he'll be like, I just need an entertaining 30 minutes on Monday night. Mm-hmm. And the process is different with each direction. So, you know, I don't know. I take so much from WWE and bring it here. And I'll never be able to. I thank Vince every Monday, but I'll never be able to thank him enough.
I see it. I see in the way that your work ethic is, and I see in the way that you approach the craft, and the way that you're thoughtful, and the way that you take direction and you're willing to go for it. Why comedy? You said that when you early on, you were funny in your character at the WWE. Where does that come from? Are there any movies or anything you can point to growing up that made you go, I want to be funny?
All the movies we quote on set, Caddyshack, Back to School, Airplane, Kentucky Fried Movie. I remember watching stuff like DC Cab. I mean, you name it. Spaceballs, Blazing Saddles. Like, I grew up off of comedy. My dad was extremely inappropriate with us, and I think I saw.
There's always an inappropriate father. Generally, it was, but they showed you something they probably shouldn't have, like a scary movie or an R-rated comedy.
But here's the thing: like, I was a teenager in the early '90s, so if it hadn't been for him, I wouldn't have looked at Caddyshack the same. Like, I might have been generationally removed. So yeah, I watched all those movies way too early. But I fucking love them. And I love the performances, and the jokes to me are still funny, and everything holds up. And those are the people I grew up emulating. Yeah. You know, so I got to reap the benefits of that late 70s comedy and then the 80s comedy, and then kind of came into my own with the Tommy Boys and the Adam Sandlers of the 90s comedy and Jim Carrey and all those. Like, I've really just gravitated towards those movies. And it's literally because of my dad letting me watch R-rated movies.
When did you know you were funny?
I can't answer that by saying I'm funny. I can answer that by saying I understand. I'm around very funny people, and I understand the jokes they're trying to tell.
Well, that's hard. I mean, did you learn it in the WWE when you got the feedback from the audience and they were laughing and you were like, because you craft jokes. You look, you are funny. I know that you're very humble, and I know that you won't take this compliment, but I'm going to give it to you because being funny requires timing, it requires confidence to be able to go for it like you do. I mean, and you've done some fucked up shit in movies already, and your timing is great, and you listen and you give back and you play tennis with the other person, and that allows you to be funny. Where did that skill come from, do you think?
That's the skill of being present, not being funny.
Okay.
And being present is being connected to everybody in an arena. I was just talking to Meredith off screen about this, trying to describe what it's like with your feet on the canvas. And I can hear things that no one else can hear. Like, I can see the guy in the third section, what his sign says. I can hear the person at the hard camera, like yelling the one thing. I can understand an audience chant before it matriculates into a mass movement. I don't really do much out there, but I listen a lot. And I'm plugged in. And on top of that, I'm listening to my opponent. I'm listening to the referee to see how much time I've left in the performance. I'm more there than anything else. I'm not thinking about anything. And I think when you can release yourself of all the baggage and just be there, like, I also trust the process, man. There's a lot of money that gets invested in movies, and I know some people kind of go into business for themselves, and this is the same in wrestling. It's not just movies, but I trust that they won't. And I'll bet on the fact that they won't against the fact that they will. I think there are very few bad people out there, truly to the core. And if you're giving of yourself and you let them know that all I want to do is do good for all of us, I think in turn, when they realize they're not in any jeopardy, they'll give to you, and therefore you get a good product. So to me, being funny is being a student of the game, like Sacha Baron Cohen or Jim Carrey or anyone who's invested in comedy. Like, I just show up and I get put around funny people, and I get to listen and learn. I'm not a great technical wrestler, but I'm the most present motherfucker on the canvas. There's not a person that can think as quickly on their feet as me, and that's because I'm prepared. Once again, I was talking to Meredith about it. Like, I know geographically where we are. I know if I'm in Jonesboro, if we did less attendance last time or 2 times, why we did less attendance. I track the TV ratings as most performers do, but not selfishly, from a longer lens perspective. Okay, less people are watching, but who are the people that are watching? I watch people file into the arena. I look at what their signs say. I look at when they sit down. Because if we open the doors at 7 and most people sit down at 7, no one's gone to concessions. Why aren't they going to concessions? Because they don't attach to a single athlete. So they basically showed up for the general concept of WWE and probably don't know a lot about WWE. But if they sit down at the first bell, everybody's got their favorite t-shirt on and everybody's got a sign made. And now I can pit one rival against one rival because I can assume that everybody knows what the hell's going on. And I'm just as prepared as I can before I go out.
I mean, in a weird way, it's like stand-up, right? I mean, you are going out there prepared with your storyline of what you're going to say and how you're going to be. And then as the crowd reacts, a la stand-up, if there's a small amount of people there, a large amount of people, if they're laughing, if they're not laughing, if one person's singing, you're playing and adjusting and improvising the way a stand-up does. So, I mean, that's why you're so good at comedy, I think.
But I've talked to so many stand-ups, and sports entertainment and WWE and stand-up run extreme parallels. The travel, the schedule, the fictitious political system that everybody claims exists that really is, you get a chance to go out there and you do your best. The reaction with the crowd, the knowing your audience. If you have a whole set planned, and I'm speaking from a spectator's perspective, but you go out and tell your first joke and it bombs, you can either tell your whole set and hope for the best, or you adapt right there, call an audible, and get them back engaged before you go through the rest of your list. That's exactly what we do in sports entertainment. We throw these lines into the water, hoping to catch the fish that is our audience and let them believe in our story. And a lot of performers don't do that. They just go out there and do their choreographed moves and hope that people get it. And when they come into the back after not hearing the noise they want, oh, they just didn't get it. Yeah, but that also means you didn't do your job.
Yeah, I mean, being live and being present and being able to adjust and to work with the crowd and go with the crowd and make those adjustments, make that live experience. That's why people love to go to stand up live, because you can see the adjustment. If someone's heckling, if someone, the way the crowd's, I mean, the pauses, everything is so mannered. And somebody who like Chris Rock or, Sebastian Maniscalco, who's done this for so long and have been through the ringer so many times, can make those adjustments on a dime. Bill Burr, if something happens in the audience, he just adjusts, goes off on a tangent, and brings his story back. And it's exciting.
Was incredible.
Oh, it's incredible. He's one of my favorites.
Like what a brave chance.
Yeah,
and that's him just being like, screw it. This is what I'm hearing. This is the reaction I'm getting. I had all this stuff that I thought was cool planned. Let's take this road and see where it happens. Like he would be phenomenal as a WWE super.
He would be. Yeah. What's your favorite thing about wrestling?
It's certainly the audience, and then I think that's what makes the program. It's difficult for me to watch, and I don't mean it's bad. I just mean I'm so attached to the audience. I've been out, and it's weird because you can almost backlog the video footage where I've been standing in the middle of the ring saying the WWE Universe is the biggest superstar we have. That wasn't bullshit.
Right.
The medium totally changes without the excitement of the bread and circus, so to speak. Like it's just different. And it's not that it's bad. I'm just not used to it.
Right. And you've done so much for them and they you, and you are so closely linked with them. I would imagine that when you do movies, do you go to the theater and watch people watch your movies, and do you get that same rush from the audience? Because my favorite thing in making movies, besides being here with you guys and being on set every day and making these little adjustments as we go, but my favorite thing is sitting in an audience, that first preview, not knowing what the fuck's going to happen, praying for the best. And then you see it. It is like a live show because you haven't seen it play, and now you're seeing it, and that joke worked and then it didn't quite work, but you know it can. That's my favorite part of making movies. Do you do that? Do you go to previews and things of your movies?
I do it, but it's frustrating because now I'm in my element. Now I'm in my zone. And I've been part of some good stuff and part of some bad stuff.
You're in the passenger seat of a car, race car, rather than driving the race car. Yeah.
So when I see something that like, if we just change this, it's too late. Not only can we not change it, I know where it's going. Oh my God. Oh, okay. All right.
They use that.
And but those, failures where we learn the most. So I really do enjoy watching in front of a crowd, but it is frustrating for me because I have that 10,000 hours, so to speak, in the realm of adjustment.
Right.
Where like I got 12 chances to try to hook him.
Right.
And then if that doesn't work, I got 12 more.
Right.
But you're a passenger.
Yeah. It's in a big 400 person theater sitting there going, that die is cast.
For me, I watch movies the same way I watch wrestling. Like I got to do a WWE storyline in WrestleMania where I got to be a fan. And normally, to protect the talent, they would they put you out there for the 2 minutes you're supposed to be out there. I went out there when doors opened.
I lived the whole experience.
Hell yeah, dude! Like I always watch from the curtain, but it's so far back, and you're in like that's the cheap seats. I got to be up close and personal, and like, man, I had like a couple beers. I was kicking it with everybody, and because I was out there so long, I'd met everybody in the sections around me, so I just got to watch the show.
Right.
And it was awesome. I'm not watching it being like, oh man, they should have made this choice, or I would have done this, or that's wrong. I'm watching it, looking at the ring, not even looking at the crowd. So when I go to a premiere, I usually don't want to watch a movie until it's done. And usually it's not picture locked until really close. So I'm not good enough, and I tell directors this all the time. I'm not good enough to watch a movie without scoring. Be like, oh, it's going to sound great when you score it. To me, the only thing I can think about is why isn't it scored or why isn't it color corrected? Right. So I just want to see when it's done. Right. And usually that's the premiere. So that's an experience for me too. Like, yeah, it's cool to hear the audience, but I'm also seeing the movie for the first time.
Yeah. So let's talk about your career as a movie star now. You started off doing some action stuff with the WWE.
Yes.
The Marine, was that your first picture of the Marine?
Yep.
You've done Fast 9 now, you've done Suicide Squad, and other movies that have been big action movies. But when you're picking your movies, you did those 2 action movies for the WWE. What made you do the shift into comedy? Did someone come to you and say, hey, I think you can do this? Or were you like, I can do this?
No, I didn't want to do movies. No, I'm serious. The Marine was a happy accident. It was supposed to be Stone Cold Steve Austin's movie, and he bailed at the last second. And he had his reasons, and it was his choice and the right thing. But 2 weeks before shooting, wow, Vince McMahon was like, "I'm sending you to Australia. You need to do this movie, and the reason I'm sending you is because if we can make this happen, if we can make this model work, it's trickle down economics. More people want to come see our stars because they're not just stars here." Like the way he explained it, and legitimately, it makes sense. Mm-hmm. You build a more desirable entity, more people will come to see said entity.
Yeah.
So I did it more for the business aspect of it, because I'm a 20-something traveling the world every night. I do my thing for like 30 minutes, get the shit beat out of me, have some beers, enjoy it. Like, it was awesome. And then I get on this very patient environment where the excitement isn't around, and it's a bunch of people just setting up lights and doing their thing. And like, I wanted to be back in the ring.
Right.
But the model kind of worked. Like the Marine kind of worked. The horror movie they came out with, See No Evil, really worked. So they started to make more. And the natural fit, the marquee guys in Hollywood are those action studs, the Dwayne Johnsons, so to speak, the Willis, Stallone, Arnold. Like, they set the mold of like, this is what you're supposed to do. So I didn't want to do that. And it was at a point in my life where I just wanted to be in the ring because it was something I was good at. I was getting really comfortable with, and I was starting to see the ones and zeros fall. And that my time on set, all I could think about was getting back. I wasn't present. Showed in the performance. The movie sucked. Like, they were just generic movies that should have come in a white box that said movie on the side. And I got a chance to do more movies. Like, I got a chance to do Trainwreck. I got a chance to do a movie called The Wall, where I was literally just laying in the dirt.
Yeah.
I got a chance to do some movies for Nickelodeon, the Fred movies.
Yeah, with Brian Robbins of the Fred movies. But what made you get into it? If you didn't like it the first time, why didn't you just say fuck it and stay away? What brought you back in?
That's 2004. Fast forward to like 2012. Now I've been on the road for another 8 years.
Okay. Now I'm seeing.
so I have about another decade of wisdom under my belt.
Right.
And I've fallen down a lot since then. And it's not like, oh, I'm beat up and grizzled, but I could never tear myself away from the WWE. And I started thinking about it, and I was like, why? And it's not because I need to be an athlete. It's because I love to tell stories.
Yeah.
Like, I really do. And I'd been playing the same character now for 12 years.
Right.
And somebody's saying like, hey, now you can be this different character, but when it's done, you can come back and be the same character. And because it's a movie, nobody knows the difference. In WWE, if you do that, you have to change your whole demeanor. If you are believably good and you switch to believably bad, you can't be affiliated with philanthropy. You can't put out positive messaging because you're basically fighting uphill. It's the one weird gray area where everybody knows it's fake, but you have to be in character 24/7 because I don't want you ruining my dream.
Right.
It's not that the things that I do don't reflect who I am as a person. They absolutely do. But if the WWE was ever to say, hey, we're going to be a bad guy, I had this conversation with Vince straight up. I'm like, okay, the ramifications of that are this. I can't be involved with X, Y, and Z. And I actually have to do my best to try to bring out the side of me that is a bad person.
Wow.
And he was like, well, fuck, we're not doing that.
Right.
Like, you can't be half pregnant. It's that weird. WWE's the last gray area where you're in all the time. And if you're not, you're never really bad. they can boo the things you do, but there's no visceral hate.
Right.
The bad guys in sports entertainment that have been great bad guys, you hate them. They're like great bad guys in a movie.
Yeah.
If the bad guy's too cool, he's the good guy, or you don't hate him as much and you don't root for the good guy as much. So these chances with movies came not when I was frustrated. I've never been frustrated or tired with the fact that, like, hey, we need you to still be WWE's Superman. No problem. I'll figure out a way to, why are we fighting?
Right.
But then someone says, like, hey, you want to tell some dick jokes? Can I do that? Because I'm used to saying poopy on air. Like, yeah, sure, man. Don't worry about it. Cool. Because I am a 40-year-old dude that has an adult sense of humor.
Yeah.
So it gave me an avenue to take those chances. And I think I was in a better place to take chances.
Yeah.
You know, I'd had a really good run at that point with WWE. I haven't fucked up my finances too much, you know, so like I kind of didn't really have a lot to lose. And not only that, I was being put around really good people, not doing a project for the sake of doing business, doing a project for enjoying doing the project.
Right. So before we get to taking chances, because I want to talk to you about that, because that's important. You are, of all the people I've worked with, the person, you're so great. You do so many Make-A-Wishes. That's all been documented. But just in terms of the people that want me to know what a fan they are of yours is incredible. Like, you really do reach people on a personal level with just your goodness and your quality of character and the philanthropy that you do and the Make-A-Wish stuff that you do. I would imagine that would be really hard for you to have switched that and tried to become this other character, given how deeply you care in a real way about all these people and things and the Make-A-Wish kids and all of your fans. And like you said, the families and stuff. I would imagine that would have been really difficult for you to make that adjustment.
Well, I think that's a reason why it never happened. I remember Stephanie McMahon. Every time my music plays, depending on geography, there is a tremendously negative response, followed by the audience in unison saying, John Cena sucks, John Cena sucks. And I remember one time vividly, Stephanie McMahon hearing the boos, and I looked at her in Gorilla and was like, when are you guys going to turn me heel? And this is right before I go out. And she's like, you're not a bad person. You could never do it.
Yeah. Wow.
And there's a lot of weight to that. Like, I believe in kindness, and I believe in empathy, and more every day I'm trying to be empathetic, especially with everything going on in the world.
Sure.
I'm trying to put a good foot forward and trying to do good, and I'm not trying to be preachy at all. I'm just trying to live my life, and if people attach to the way I live my life, cool. And if not, I'm doing it for the sake of, I want to be kind and I want to try to be empathetic. So I'm not sure I could do it.
Yeah.
I'm not. I think I might have been able to, but then you get an opportunity where Jacob Toretto can square off against Dom Toretto. There has got to be some boiled blood there.
Sure.
And those are great opportunities, because that's when I get excited about doing the deed, because I'll never be able to do it in the thing I love the most.
Right.
You know, so like, that helps the choices. I remember saying after 12 rounds, like, I'm never going to do action again. It wasn't, I'm never going to do action again. It was, I should have just said, I'm never going to do something for business again.
Right.
There has to be passion. There has to be active investment on self. Like, I want to enjoy doing this, not it looks good on a quarterly report.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about taking risks, because first of all, being an actor, and then secondly, being a comedic actor is a big fucking risk. So how do you manage risk? Like, what goes through your mind as you're making these choices? You don't have a manager. You have a great agent by the name of Dan Bame, who works at ICM.
Publicist.
No publicist. Is you and I keep talking about, and I keep
Me and Dan.
and it's just you and Dan. So talk to me about risk. Like, how did you learn risk management? How do you go about, what is your psychology? What is your feeling about risk? Because the way you manage your career, you've done 2 movies with me, and I find you're just passionate about the stuff you're passionate about. But when you're making your choices and you're plotting out this thing you're doing in your career, talk to me about risk taking. You did take a risk by jumping into comedy. How do you manage that in your life? How do you think about risk?
I think it's as simple as just owning every choice. That's it. And owning every failure. When I miss in the ring, I keep talking about the ring, but I think this is something that people can relate to the most. When I miss in the ring, I'll be the first person to be like, I missed, and how can we do better? I made bad movies, and I'll make more bad movies, but I'm going to take the chance. Whereas I made a lot of bad movies, and I can reflect on that was my choice, and I made the choice to make those movies, and I wasn't invested. And could they have been different had I had a better perspective? Maybe. I don't know. I never woulda, coulda, shoulda. But I know I didn't have the same attitude as I do right now. Mm-hmm. And I've also made movies that, that do well, some that don't. But you just own it. And I think a lot of the reservation on being too cool for school, or like, man, this job is just so awesome. It's a fake job. We get to play dress up. And I think it's really hard to get here too. And I'm just talking from my own struggle. I know nothing about anyone else's struggle. It's really hard to do this. It's really hard to get these chances. And you never want them to go away. So you don't want to look uncool. And you don't want to look unmarketable. And you don't want to look irrelevant. So a lot of times you surround yourself with folks who tell you who not to talk to, what not to say, what to turn down, what to walk away from, who not to take advice from. That's why it's just me and Dan. And I can argue with him like he's my bro. He is my bro. Like we love each other. And we bicker, and it's just us. It's not 26 cooks in the kitchen at a table. It's just me and him, and it always has been. And when we fail, it's like, oh, the humanity. I mean, it's bad. And we've had some wonderful failures.
Do you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite failure? I mean by favorite of the one of like, holy shit, I learned a ton from that one.
There was a branding situation where poor Dan works his ass off, and we got it to the green light, and it would have been just wonderful. And some legislation that was beyond our control stopped it. And I saw how hard he worked. And this was a point in our relationship. I made Dan my agent after the Marine. And he was an agent for the director at the time, John Benito. And he flew, I think he flew middle seat coach to get out to Australia because he told his client he would be there. And then we finished the day of shooting, and this is just a glimpse into my life in 2004. We went out to eat afterwards, and eating turned into a little bit of a late night. And we were the last two standing, is the most polite way to put it. And I asked him 2 baseball trivia questions, to which he answered them both. And I was like, well, okay, let's do this. You can be my agent.
Wow.
And for 8 years after that, his phone didn't ring. Justifiably so. And I told him, like, hey, you're getting into bed with redheaded stepchildren over here. Nobody likes the wrestling guys. Like, you got your work cut out for you. This is not what you think it is. And he learned the hard way. And this was his first real big thing where he could prove, like, man, I'm working for you. But I never expected that out of him. We have a philosophy: do your best, do your best. Man, he got it right up to the word go, and we were about to make good, and it got snuffed.
Wow.
And he was like heartbroken. So that's one of the many, but we have them all the time.
So now that you're doing comedy and these big movies also, and you have this great TV show that's going to be based on a character on a movie that hasn't come out yet, that's how great you are. And you talked about COVID times. Let's talk about comedy and why what you're doing you think is so important right now. Because I think that despite whether or not comedy will be in theaters or comedy will be on streaming or what will happen, I just have such a love of comedy, and I'm such a student of it, and I really just appreciate when it's done well. I loved your movie with Amy. I thought it was fantastic. Your character is amazing, and I love Judd. I'm such a huge fan, and of Sasha also, as you just mentioned him. What is your feeling about comedy in this world right now? What do you feel being a part of it? What do you feel you're giving back, and where do you feel it's headed?
I think laughter is an important pillar of like acceptance. It's that first icebreaker for that difficult conversation. because not too many people are ready to be like, hey, do you want to just lean into this really difficult thing? And not too many people are ready to do that. I think comedy helps open the door for those conversations and takes the edge off a little bit. Comedy, since comedy's been around, has always walked that edge of controversy. That's what makes it funny. I think the appropriateness of comedy has always been under question. And that's also what makes it funny. And, you know, it's just like WWE. If it ain't for you, change the channel. And you're right, the industry is changing, but it is not going away. People will need to laugh, whether they get their laughs from a full-fledged movie like Vacation Friends or watching people fall on their face on YouTube,
Right.
or TikTok. Like, there will always be an element of people gravitating towards laughter and putting a smile on your face, because that's the escape of entertainment. That's entertainment. If you want to be informed, you read an encyclopedia. You get entertained to escape, to leave your baggage and lighten the load for a second, to sit down, take a deep breath, and be like, yo, I want to phase out for a bit, or I want to be riveted, and I want to be brought into this world and become a piece of it. So, I mean, as long as we're humans with emotions, there'll be a need for comedy. It's such an uncertain time. Not only the pandemic, but like with the advent of all these streaming services that have been rushed to the forefront because of the pandemic, but we're on the way anyways, the can being kicked down the road. The experience is changing. And I think we're in that gray area where no one knows the direction of the experience. We're still in like HD, DVD, and Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Who's going to win, you know? And no one knows. So everyone's skeptical about what the future is. The future is there'll be content.
Yeah.
And people have shown that they want it more than ever. I just think the old construct of you're a movie actor only, or you're a TV actor only, or my goodness, you can't do the internet because that doesn't, like, that's all gone. It's all gone. And I think you either evolve with that or you become a dinosaur. And I just think doing your best to understand an ever-changing landscape is probably the best chance you have. But as far as comedy, man, comedy's not going anywhere.
Well, that's such a good point, too, about understanding the landscape, because you have...
Court jester. I mean, that's been around for a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
Comedy's been around for a long time.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody fell down in caveman days. The thing about the landscape is so important, too, because you have done really, really R-rated movies, including the Vacation Friends, which we're doing now.
Yeah.
Which is very fucking R-rated. Like, literally, we're shooting a scene right now. I've never heard the word jizz more times in my entire life. But we also did a G-rated movie, and we knew what we were making, and Playing with Fire.
Yes.
And you and I talked about this because I got to say, during the pandemic, one of the most frequent emails I got was, oh my God, dude, thank you. My kids have watched Playing with Fire probably 40 times. I just needed a fucking break. And like, that's our job. Yep. And you committed so well to that. Cause I worked at Disney for 10 years. So I've made a lot of movies for kids, and the critics and like your 18 to 35 year olds don't understand it. Like, I have a 20-year-old son who's like, Dad, I'm never going to watch Playing with Fire. I'm like, well, you will. When you have a 3-year-old, it will still be there, and you will see I will suddenly look like a savior at that point. And you are so good about that, of just going back and forth and completely committing and understanding, and not being self-conscious about, oh, fuck, I can't do this. I want to look cool for my fans. I don't want to be too edgy by doing a beer bong in my ass. You always commit so completely. And that's why people love you so much, man. And you get that. And not a lot of people do. There's certain people out there, comedians, that think, oh, I'm just cool and I have to be cool, and that's all I'm going to do.
That's fleeting, though.
Yeah,
it is. And I enjoy a good family comedy. I enjoy a good R-rated comedy. Mm-hmm. I enjoy drama. I enjoy action. I enjoy movies. I enjoy stories. I haven't been cool for a long fucking time.
Me either, man.
So like, there's also that, and it's not. I think when you reach that point where you stop looking for the validation of others, and man, I've been on a really wonderful journey for the past few years. And I think everybody, hopefully, they get to experience this moment in their lives where they look in the mirror and say, I'm enough. Mm-hmm. And I think when you do that and you understand that, like, no matter where the chips fall, I'm good enough. And I'm going to go out there, and if you invite me to be here in a movie, you invited me for a reason. So I'm just going to realize, one, what type of movie you're making, and two, we'll do the best we can. Like in this movie specifically, a lot of my role is to be legitimate in the comedy. It's not to overact. It's not like I have fun on some of the outtakes when I can take the jokes too far. But because of the crew you've put around me, they're supposed to be in chaos because they're brought into this whole new world of partying and drugs and no structure and just kind of letting the world happen. And you can't be that vehicle if you're continuously throwing jokes out there. You have to believe that that's it. So as much as I want to fuck around, Peacemaker and Suicide Squad was different. That was a different scenario, a different character. And that was where I could let loose a little bit of that personality. And this Ron is a different character.
Right.
So it's not, I mean, that it's what I want to do, but it's not for the movie. It's not the time. It's not the time for it. You know?
Yeah. How did you get to the place where you could look in the mirror and feel that way? By the way, I feel the same way. And weirdly, same time schedule. I mean, like literally in the last, 10 years, I've been on this intense journey to feel better and to be enough, and reading constantly and just allowing myself to be present, as you're saying, reading a lot of Thich Nhat Hanh, and as you see every day I have at least one book on set. I'm just constantly reading because I want to learn and I don't want to waste any time. What's worked for you? How have you gotten to that place, and why? Why the last 5 years?
So I really think it's been examining my own behavior and then asking the question why, like a 3-year-old,
right?
And not cutting myself off like a frustrated adult. Answer every question honestly, and I think when you can get to the root of some of your choices, and you can be honest of some of your failures, and you can also like allow joy into your life rather than like waiting for the other shoe to drop. Be able to adapt. I can adapt to change on a dime in a ring. But if you carve out a day for me and something happens to that day, I lose it. And I have to be better about that. Right. So just understanding, like, control what you can control, do your best to earn each day. And I think a lot of that comes with like looking at who you are and stop pointing fingers at anybody else. Not that I was ever overly guilty of that, but it's habitual. We all do it. They're holding me down. No, maybe it's you. Right. I just had a good period to be able to do that. And I think that started right around 2011, 2012. And I just have increased the quest for self-awareness ever since.
And how do you think that's manifesting itself in your choices that you're making as an actor and in your personal life?
Well, when you have comfort in who you are, I love to people watch. And I love to people watch to like get the same reason I like to watch The Arena. Like, what are they thinking? My job is to come up with a person and then figure out what they're thinking. Peacemaker is a great example, and a director like James Gunn is awesome because he'll just come up to me and be like, no, be a douchey Captain America. Holy shit, that's great. Yeah. And I often try to tell WWE superstars, the first question I ask, like hopefuls, is who are you? And they go in this long diatribe. I'm like, who are you in 3 words? And if you can know that, then you can begin to know how you make choices. In WWE, when that music plays, I'm fucking Superman. That's that. So I know how Superman feels when he gets hit. And I know how Superman feels when he can't get up, but needs to get up. And when he's defeated. It like all of those things run through your head, but it's because I'm okay with me. And I also know what I'm doing. I think being prepared and knowing script, being in touch with the people making the movie, not going into business for yourself. You are allowed certain constraints to define the character. But like I said, unless you're going to follow everybody around and go into the edit bay, as much as you want to, persuade the performance, you run the risk of getting cut if you want to be a pirate and hold the thing under sabotage. So I think it's best to work with others, get as much information as you can, and don't to me, don't worry about being cool or uncool. Just be there.
By the way, that same could go for your personal life.
Sure.
my personal life too. Everybody's personal life. Yeah. Those are great rules to live by in your personal life. And congratulations on your engagement, by the way.
I thank you, sir.
And your marriage, apparently, according to TMZ, which I had the pleasure of telling you.
You gave me
I had the pleasure of telling you you got married.
It's a bit of a false start.
Yes. Well, but I'm very happy, and I'm glad that you're in a great place there too, because that is it also is just something where when you get to a place in your life where you can look in the mirror and say you're good enough, it's great to have a person then at that point in your life to find that person and say, oh, now I can be 3 times as good by having a person that I am in a good place that I have found, as opposed to in our 20s or whatever we were running around at being the last person at the bar.
Nobody's figured out the absolute meaning of human existence, but it's been well documented that connection is a very important part.
Right.
So we're all yearning for connection, whether we admit it or not, no matter how driven we are, no matter how much of a loner we are or an antisocial person, we're all built to connect. And I think when anybody can connect with anybody, whether it's a lover or a friend or no matter what the circumstance, I think that the connections are valuable, man. It's what keeps us going.
And so then in terms of now you looking at where you're at, so you've done everything now. You've done huge franchise in the Fast movie and Suicide Squad. You've done these dramas in The Wall. You've done every type of comedy. I mean, there's nothing you haven't done. So as you're making these choices now, as James Gunn calls you and goes, hey man, I'm going to do a 10-episode series on HBO Max on Peacemaker, that's something completely different. That's a streaming show. It's going to take you off the market for, 6 to 7 months. How are you thinking about your career now and making these choices and the kind of stories you want to tell? Because you, like you said, you didn't fuck up a lot with your finances, and you've pretty much done everything now. So where are you headed now? Like, how did those wheels turn for you?
It's certainly not a process of checking boxes.
No. Well, you've checked them all. So
no, but I mean, that's a happy accident. This whole thing is a happy accident, but it's not, hey, to quote unquote make it, we have to do these things. Mm-hmm. It didn't happen overnight, and it happened one small opportunity at a time, and the guidelines haven't changed. Do things you're very interested in. Do things you're passionate about. Whenever you give me an idea, I'm like, I got to read it first. I got it. And there's stuff that you give me that resonates, and when I'm in,
yeah,
I'm in. I'm hell or high water, we're making. But when it doesn't resonate with me, I'll also be professional enough to be like, it's not for me.
Right.
So movies, streaming series, as you put, that's a long project. If day one you are skeptical about the project, or like this is a money grab, and I understand we all got to eat, so I understand it's the movie business. I understand that, but I was lucky enough to find a path in life that I really enjoyed, and they were foolish enough to pay me for it. So I'm at a point where step one is be passionate about the material. Because if you are, those long days, those 14-hour days, those tough days, understanding pandemic circumstances, as long as you dig the stuff, you're going to want to do it regardless. That's the deal. I think it's when you have to make those choices for other reasons. I look at a basic construct of a regular job. My brother's got a boat. Loves his boat, man. And he works during his week so he can spend the weekend on the boat. And 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, he will motherfuck anybody within a 6 feet circle. And then Saturday, as soon as he pops open that first beer and he's on the boat, like that's the reason he crawls through that shit.
Right.
To get to the boat. And he has a great understanding of that, but he's a masshole and a curmudgeon through Monday through Friday.
Right.
I'd rather work under the auspice of, I want to do this. All the other stuff you're going to do for me, all the luxuries that come along with it, that's found, and that's great. And that's Dan's department, because if it were me, I'd just do everything that I resonate towards. Mm-hmm. But I just have passion for storytelling, and when I read something that I'm into, man, it's tough to pull me away from it. That's why I didn't mind laying in the dirt for the wall. You know, in 115-degree weather, I'm in full Kevlar for 9 hours a day, just laying in the open sun. You know, and it was awesome because I loved the story. And on top of that, when you get people like Aaron Taylor Johnson and Doug Liman who are like insanely into the movie, that's another thing. Surround yourself with good people. You like making movies, man. Like, that's the thing. When someone continues to show up when it's not mandatory. You know, I work, I'm sure it happens in the entertainment business, but I can only speak because I have my 10,000 hours in WWE. There's a lot of folks that say I wanted to do this my whole life. A lot of folks that say it. And then when they're called upon to do everything that the job entails, they fold. They did not want to do this their entire life. They did not. And I think it's managing the tough situations, understanding how to navigate a shoot through a pandemic, the unrelenting massaging of personalities that comes along with your profession. You do it because you want to, and you get joy out of the doing of the deed. And I won't do anything that, like, it's not a, hey, we got to tackle this hill next. No, what have you put on my desk that I feel something about? And of course that helps. I know that kind of keeps me in my range. I'm not good enough yet. You know, I feel comfortable in any avenue in a WWE ring. I think you could attach me to any story and it may not work, but damn, I feel comfortable in creating a path. There's some stuff I can do. There's a lot of stuff I can't because I'm still learning. And every production I learn from people, and it's an awesome experience. But if I'm passionate about it, that means I can kind of see it in my head. And if I can kind of see it in my head, that means I can kind of craft it. And if I can kind of craft it, commit to concept, commit the subject matter to memory, and then just be present. And hopefully the skills that you've accrued will make a good product. And sometimes it hits and sometimes it misses. But if I'm doing something for a money grab and I'm unprepared and I spend too much time in makeup and I'm having a shitty day and I walk on set at day 1 of 98, it's going to be a long haul.
Yeah. Well, you said a lot of things. Like you're very good at adjusting. You're a great storyteller. You're creative. You like to control the narrative when you feel like you know what you're doing. Why? What about directing?
Not a chance. for the same reason I don't want Vince's job. I know I'm a pawn. And that's fine to say. A pawn is a very valuable piece on the board. I'm supposed to.
Not even a rook?
Not at all. Not at all. Like,
why? Now, you say that all the time, and I'm not kidding. Why? Why a pawn and not a rook or a bishop or a knight?
Because the movie happens without you. Like,
sometimes no, John. I'm saying you're at a place now and you're specific enough as an individual, as a character, that Playing with Fire wouldn't get made if you didn't commit to it. And maybe you want to be a utility player in terms of helping the movie. I for sure am.
No, everybody is. Everybody is. So I think when you start thinking you're in the back row close to the middle is when all of the other people who are doing their 2 cents to make the movie begin to be like, fuck that.
Oh, I see.
And not only from a professional standpoint, from a personal standpoint.
I see.
I think if you take, or for me, taking the assumption of a pawn, like, hey, makes you grateful and allows people to do their job. If I was in the back row, I would be hawking over the DP to be like, yo, let's get this thing moving.
Right.
If I was in the back row, I'd be asking the AD to like send me home early or whatever on the days that I don't feel so well. No, I'm a pawn. I'm going to go from call time to, in this case, it's French hours, 10 or 11 to call time. I'm going to show up and sometimes wait a lot. I'm going to need to be on when needed.
Right.
And all I ask is that when I'm not needed, please let me go freak out and do my weird stuff, like learn a language or read a book or play piano or do whatever.
I don't know if people understand what you're talking about there. What John does when I'm talking about you like you're not here now, what you do when you're not working is you go in your trailer and you learn a language. You are fluent in Mandarin?
I'm not fluent.
I've
been studying for a while.
You study Mandarin. You're piano proficient. You learn. You take the time when you're off instead of just standing there waiting, pacing your train, saying, where the fuck are the ADs and what are they doing? You're using that time to learn something else.
And sometimes, and I talked to Meredith because she was like, well, do you ever shut off? Sometimes I just look at the wall.
That's
No,
fine
for real.
too.
Like sometimes I just
Right.
kick my feet up and take a deep breath and look at the clock and be like, hey man, and if I'm going to have a moment, I don't want to do it in front of everybody
Yeah.
because shit rolls downhill and that stuff's infectious.
Yeah.
So if I need a moment to just collect myself before I need to get back out on the field, so to speak,
Sure.
I'd rather have that moment in an environment where I can just have it.
Sure.
Or if I want to veg out, just have it.
Right.
But all the things you mentioned help with memorization.
Yeah.
Literally repeating language and trying to learn new words and the meaning of new words and the context and music.
Yeah.
So I do that to keep my memory skills sharp. Because in WWE, I had to memorize content every night. What I was going to say, hey kid, you're opening the show for 20 minutes. You got a 20-minute monologue.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Well, that's what I love about you. So many times when someone else doesn't know a line, you go, your line is this. You know everybody's line. It's the best. It's really, it makes me laugh when I'm at the monitor.
25 to 30 times before the final adjustments.
Wow.
And then when you're not in the 1%, I don't have a gift. Like, there are gifted performers, and I can say the same in wrestling. I don't have a gift. Shawn Michaels has a gift. Randy Orton has a gift. There are gifted performers. When you don't, my gift is being prepared. Mm-hmm. If I know everything I possibly can, then I'm going to use my mediocre skills and bring it up a notch. And if I know everything I possibly can, like, oh, this is the part where he punches so-and-so and he punches him because of whatever. Mm-hmm. I told you today, I don't understand why we have conversations about the meaning of moments 6 months into shooting the movie.
Yes.
Those are conversations.
Yes, we should have had 6, right.
6 months before we shoot the movie.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, sometimes you're just, yes, and you're great at that. But there is times when people are on set and go, wow, this feels weird when I'm also, why am I just standing here when everybody else is doing something?
And a lot of times, the Mike Tyson quote, a battle plan's great until you get punched in the face.
Exactly right.
Once you get out there in front of the camera, in front of the setups, maybe things aren't looked like they're supposed to look on storyboards. I do get it. I was making a general blanket.
No. And
that's incorrect.
You're right. And no, but it is true. And you are the most prepared person I've been around. You're the most, I really relate to you. You inspire me. I really feel connected to you and your work ethic because I have exactly the same thing. And I do feel the same way I'm not inherently talented at this. I just grind harder than anybody else that I know of. And that's all I can do. That's all I can control.
Persistence is
That's all I can control is my grind.
Dude.
Yeah.
Yep.
So let me ask you a question. What has inspired you during this pandemic?
That the powerful play goes on, Whitman, dude. And you get to contribute a verse.
Mm-hmm.
That has helped me through some really tough times.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of those tough times.
Mm-hmm.
When the lockdown showed up and it was like, hey, things may be okay. The next day, things...
Well, you and I were in Puerto Rico together, and I remember saying, like, it's going to be like 2 weeks. Go home, enjoy yourself.
And me...
We'll be back.
Yeah, that sounds...
You're like, can I go do WWE? I'm like, yeah, I think so. Probably be shut down for 2 weeks. Don't worry about it.
But I think it comes back to us... us certainly being okay with being comfortable and us wanting to feel like we have control over everything.
Mm-hmm.
We don't. Mm-hmm. So when the rules change, when WWE becomes a program of TV 14, where we can tell jokes and use blood and get hit with steel chairs all over the place, and then changes to G or PG, you can either kick the can down the road screaming that I wish the old days were here, or you can adapt. And the day everything shut down, it was literally like, okay, these are the new rules. What do I do? Well, I find myself driven by work, but I've worked really hard on myself to know that work doesn't define me. Mm-hmm. What are the things I enjoy? Holy smokes, now you have time to be a better friend, be a better partner, be a better musician, speak more fluently, maybe take up a Scotch hobby. I don't know.
Right.
Learn to mess around with coffee. Take some time, take a breath, find out what you're passionate about, and go there.
Yeah.
I totally rekindled my love with the automobile. And in tune, it got me to network with Honda. And sitting down with them via Zoom and talking to Honda about their brand. And them trying to tell me what they have going on and me jumping the gun was unbelievable because they were looking for someone with a voice.
Right.
And ended up with someone as a partner.
Yeah.
Well, I rekindled my passion for the automobile.
Yeah. We're getting tapped because you have to go back to the set. One more question?
Sure.
Erica, 1 second. Well, that's your assistant. 1 second. Last question. Best day on set. And by the way, it can be the WWE.
No. I want to do this movie, Vacation Friends. Best day on set. The day we shot on the catamaran. And I'll tell you why. I saw an absolute transformation in Clay.
Yeah, Clay Tarver, who's been on my podcast, first-time director, was a showrunner on Silicon Valley, and is a fantastic writer. Was his first movie.
Fantastic writer, very funny guy, knows the business, but first time on the track. And every time, you get a little bit of extra pucker, it's your first time on the track.
Yeah.
And we had a very ambitious day at sea. So, like, a lot of uncontrollables. And a key message in this movie is kind of just like, hey, man, just float with life.
Yeah.
And I remember him being so stressed at the start of the day. And as it got going, it was the first real meaty stuff we had filmed with Rel, Yvonne, Meredith, everybody. It's the four of us. And I remember sailing back. And I'm just feet over the front of the boat, just looking at beautiful Puerto Rico with ice blue water. And right over my shoulder is Clay, just letting the fucking wind hit his face.
Oh, that's great.
And like right after that, it was like you had taken an Atlas stone off his back.
That's great.
And since then, he's absolutely changed. But I think everybody needs to get that one out of the way.
Yeah.
And I saw it happen on that day.
That's
and
awesome.
It was awesome to see because he's our leader, man.
Yeah.
If he's all pent up and like leadership starts from the top.
Yep.
And I know he's a big basketball guy and he's expressed to me his love for the San Antonio Spurs. And we kind of talked about like, hey, this is the kind of dichotomy I'm looking for. And it started obviously with the head coach. And he has become a wonderful head coach. And I saw
that's awesome.
The moment where it started. And I'll never forget that.
That's awesome.
Never forget.
That's awesome. Well, thank you. I appreciate your time, brother. You're an inspiration. And I'm so...
a long time coming. We were supposed to do this for
we were supposed to do this over a year ago. Thank you. I really, really appreciate it.
Let's get back to work.
All right.